You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/ARTS. Just go to Indeed.com/ARTS right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
Tape Deck Media.
Step right up. Listen to the Awful Service Podcast. It's future radio on your computer phone. You've heard of Hanna-Barbera, Laurel and Hardy, Sears and Roebuck, now Doyle and Cocazello. Are you a bean counter at your boring job? Listen to the Awful Service Podcast. We've got segments, we've got guests, we've got Karens.
The Awful Service Podcast, available where all podcasts are streamed. Brought to you by Tape Deck Media.
Good morning, Ruddle Maniacs. Welcome back to another episode of Ruddle Me This. I am, as always, your host, Taylor Ruddle, and unfortunately, as you can tell by the sound of my voice, I am a little bit under the weather. I'm really annoyed because at my local supermarket, they have a sign saying, please stack trolleys on the left to avoid congestion, and I've been doing that, and I've still got this bloody cold. Haha, a little joke to start you off there. I'm not going to talk too much, we'll just get straight into the episode, but today's guest is a comedian called Richard Dryden. I've been meaning to have Richard on for pretty much the whole time I've been running the podcast. He claims that he is a grumpy, curmudgeonly man, but honestly, Rich is one of the sweetest people I've ever met in stand-up comedy. Super giving, super nice guy, super good to gig with, no drama, really funny on stage, and he's just really good to be around. So Richard, I sort of... the start of the episode was a bit of a catch-up with Richard, and I'll just give the setup for it. So Richard has had several medical things happen throughout his life, but the main thing I think that's most notable is that he had tongue cancer, and so his speech has been affected, as he mentions in the episode. So that is kind of what we're talking about there. Richard is a great example of someone who's had a lot of adversity but doesn't let it get him down. And it was also just a little bit of a catch-up. It's been a little while since I've seen or chatted to Richard, so I was very happy to have him on the podcast today. So let's welcome to the show, comedian and mirth maker, Richard Dryden. Richard, welcome to the podcast. Delightful to finally have you on. We've been talking about this for probably years now, haven't we?
Hello, Mr. Ruddle. Probably have been. Yep.
How's
cheese?
Yeah, how's everything been for you this winter? We've had, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm a little bit under the weather at the moment, and I have been for about going on 3 weeks now. We've got a very nasty cold going around in Christchurch at the moment. How's everything up there for you?
It's a little bit chilly, as you would expect, being winter. But I'm half dead already, so I'm one of these guys that, I've had the flu vaccine, I've had the, dare I say it, because someone will throw shit at me, but I've had the, I've had the COVID booster again. So I'm currently okay.
That's great. I've booked in myself for a flu jab and a COVID one next week because I just cannot afford to get sick again. So I guess the main thing we wanted to chat about today was you've had a very tumultuous few years with I guess your health is the main thing, but in a nutshell, you had, was it specifically tongue cancer you had?
Yeah, so I don't know if tumultuous is necessarily the right word. It just is what it is, right? But I guess that's one of the biggest things I've had, although the kidney transplant 30-odd years ago was pretty, probably the root of all evil, really.
That's a big thing, yeah. So when did you have your tongue, which happened first, was the tongue or the kidney?
No, so the kidney transplant was when I was 17, so that was almost 31 years ago.
Oh, right.
And that basically is the catalyst for everything else.
Really?
Yeah. Because when they put somebody else's organ in your body's going, nah, this isn't here. This shouldn't be here. This is and so it tries to, it sees it as a virus or whatever, and so it spends the entirety of time trying to get rid of it. So what they do is they put you on immunosuppression tablets, which lowers your immune system, which initially isn't such a bad thing, but after 31 years of having a half-ass immune system, it does eventually sort of start catching up a little bit.
Yeah, that's right. And you were telling me you had quite a long career in radio before the stand-up stuff, weren't you?
Yeah. So I did,
you had a morning show, was it you were telling me?
So I started as a promo guy, mate, just driving the Black Thunder for ZM back in the day. And then from there I produced a breakfast show, and then I got given my own breakfast show, which went on to win awards, and that was in Turanganui Kiwi in Gisborne, which was, as you know, one of my favourite places on the planet.
Yes. Did we go to Gisborne together?
I think we did, didn't we?
Yes, because we did that tour with Tito where we did like what was it? It was like, it was somewhere in the Hawke's Bay.
Yep. And then we travelled up.
If I randomly mute, it's because I'm coughing.
Sweet.
If I randomly mute, it's because I'm coughing. So, we did that place. It was called the Saloon. Do you remember that gig?
Yes, in Wairoa.
And the guy, there was Wairoa, that's what it was. And the tech guy had a few beersies and then started telling us about the aliens.
Yes.
That was a fun gig. And they had that big Godzilla poster behind the stage, which is like probably my favorite decoration behind any show I've ever been on, eh?
Well, given your, because you spent a bit of time over in Japan, right?
I did, yes.
Did you have any, thought about stealing that poster at all?
I'm sure it crossed my mind, but it would be pretty obvious if it went suddenly missing. So I think it was probably better that I didn't. And then we went up to Gisborne the following day, and I remember we were having breakfast at a little cafe, and we saw a giant anti-vax protest go past on the main road up there, didn't we?
I don't. Did we? I don't know if I made that. Was I meant to be on that gig and I didn't make it?
You might have meant to, because it could possibly have been. There was a trip that I went up there that I was meant to stay with you, but then in the time of me leaving Christchurch and landing in Palmerston North, we'd had a COVID outbreak somewhere, so everyone had to sort of not lock down, but everyone had to kind of stay. And I think I was going to be staying with you, but then because you've got obviously immunocompromised, I think I ended up staying at Pete's or something, which was where we were doing the gig that night. And so, you might have not been able to come with us on that tour.
I think that's it. Pete's Shed.
How would you describe Pete's Shed to the listeners out there?
I'm conflicted about that, actually. I really enjoy Pete's Shed as a place to perform. I really do. But it would be, if I had to describe it, to paint a picture, eclectic would be a word.
Yeah.
Dark.
Yeah.
Dark. And then, that car just above you.
Yes. All the movie posters.
Yes, and then the maze.
Yes, that's right, a horror maze. Yeah, it's hard. I think I have described it on the podcast before, but it's like a block of offices or something that he bought and then sort of lives in some of them. He converted the main sort of entrance bit to like a bar. Was it Tui or something? He decorates everything with Tui merch.
Tui, isn't it? Yeah.
And then he's got like a little theatre in the back, which actually, as performance spaces go, is a really nice wee room to perform in. So it's a cool wee spot. But then there's a giant like ghost and skeleton maze in there as well. And I think Dr. Chris, he's had some trouble with his knees, hasn't he? He'd injured his knees at some point, and the only way to get into it was to crawl on your hands and knees. So he risked it by crawling in there, and then I just remember him regretting it for the rest of the day that we were there because his knees were just so sore.
Well, and he's also quite a tall person. I've heard that the maze itself is actually a little bit little.
Yeah, I imagine it's probably more aimed at children. But anyway, yes, so that would have been that tour because we did the Evolution Theatre up in Gisborne. Have you ever done that theatre?
Yeah, so I've done Evolution Theatre every time I've been up there. So I think I've done 3 tours to Disney.
Yeah. It's a lovely
And
little theatre.
yeah, awesome. My last show, actually, I did a show by myself January just gone at Smash Palace, which I'm sure you probably popped into while you were up
Is
there
that
as
the
well.
one with the giant plane that's like overhead?
Yes.
Dude,
Yeah.
I honestly question whether that place is real or not sometimes, just on how bizarre that description sounds. Like, we must have gone there. Is that Gisborne as well?
Yeah.
So we must have gone there after the gig in Gisborne because I remember it's sort of outdoors, indoors, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember sitting underneath it being like, where am I right now? This is wild. And what is it? It's like a military plane or something. They've sort of like, it's like above the.
Would I be right in saying it's a DC-10?
You could well be. I don't know planes that well. I just remember it was a big jet thing. Sort of. I don't even know how they would suspend it above. I'm guessing there must be poles or something holding it up.
Yeah, it's mounted on poles. Yeah, so like one of my best mates, one of the coolest humans in the world, him and his whānau own it,
Right.
and yes, I've spent a lot of time there.
Brilliant. It's one of my favorite things about touring in New Zealand, especially North Island, is because like you run into these places that are just weird, funky little spots. Like obviously Smash Palace. I'd honestly forgotten about it until you mentioned it just now, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. And then the saloon in Wairoa and Pete's Shed, and it feels like there's less weird artsy stuff in the South Island, so it's kind of cool to get to go to the North Island and see some of these spots that people have like, they're sort of just running on a dream and making it happen, which is very cool to see.
Why do you think there's more eclectic sort of places in the North Island? Is that because we're a bit more relaxed than the mainlanders?
I would say definitely more artsier. Like there is a sort of trying to think of a good analogy here, but like I think South Island people are very like plain, if that makes sense. We're just kind of like people do their job and they'll go and watch the rugby and they'll maybe watch movies. But like, I mean, we've also got the Court Theatre, so people do go and see the theatre, but there's less weird independent theatre, and it's more just like, oh yeah, when you go to the Court Theatre after on your Friday night and you see, whatever it is, Cats or whatever. And I just think for some reason, South Island, I'm sure people will be listening to this being like, we are artsy, but it's like, yeah, I get it, but like the bulk of people are not artsy, and that's in my experience anyways.
But mainlanders, I think, are more friendly, though. Would that be fair?
Fuck. I'm going to have to cut that cough out.
Do you think mainlanders are more friendly, though?
In what way do you think they're more friendly?
I just, and I haven't visited. I went to Nelson at the start of the year for work, or earlier in the year for work. I don't know. I just think mainlanders are, on the whole, a little bit more friendly, a little bit more approachable. Like,
I've heard it's hard to form like strong friendships with people from the South Island. I think maybe you're right. Surface level people are very polite and very sort of like, easier to talk to. But I have heard it's very hard, especially if you move here as like an immigrant. It's quite hard to find your tribe, so to speak.
Yeah, look, I think that's probably systemic of, I don't want to get too political, but how we were told to be kind. I think that's actually backfired, because now people are mostly not kind at all.
Yeah, the COVID
I think, in all seriousness, if Jacinda had said at the end of those little 1 o'clock sermons, all right, don't forget to be an arsehole, we'd probably be far more kind now, wouldn't we? Because we would have done the reverse.
It's been bizarre. It's little things have changed. Like, I don't know if it was always like this, but I feel like in the supermarket, people have lost all social skills. Like, someone will just about crash their trolley into you, and like, I'll be like, oh, watch out, sorry about that. And they just fucking stare at me. Like, and it's like, you realize I'm not the television. I'm a person standing in front of you. Like, I don't understand where this like supermarket, like people completely forget how to interact with other people has come from. And I assume it's the pandemic.
Oh, yeah, right. And also, if you want to get a sort of a take on what people are like as drivers, you just need to watch them in the supermarket, eh?
Yes, yeah, exactly. It's the whole bubble thing is very like, Yeah, everyone's sort of just in their own little bubble, and everything else is. It's like, you ever heard the expression NPC?
No.
So it's a video game term meaning non-player character, and it's like all the
Right,
characters
yeah.
that you can sort of talk to, and like they'll only say one kind of line. I think a lot of people view everyone else as just NPCs, and they're the main character, and
Yeah.
no one else matters.
Yeah, I mean that's a fair summation.
Yeah. So anyway, we got a little sidetrack there. Let's talk. So you had your your diagnosis there, and you've sort of, I don't know if is the procedure that you went under for this, is this sort of like a modern medicine miracle, or is it a fairly standard procedure that you had?
That's what are we talking? Are we talking the removal of the tongue dissection and
Yeah,
the neck,
you had
all
like a
that
new,
sort of stuff? Yeah.
yeah, you had a,
Is it? I guess I don't think it was a modern, because there were other people that had it. Although I've bumped into people. Funnily enough, at that Dannyburg that we did,
yeah,
bumped into a guy in Dannyburg of all places that had a similar procedure to me, and the way they did his and the way they did mine, even though his was probably, I think, somewhere between 2 and 5 years before mine, completely different.
wow,
And even the way that they do it now, I imagine, is
yes,
completely different. That was 2015, so almost 10 years ago.
yeah. So
That I had it done.
they took a muscle out of your arm and put it into your tongue.
Yeah, so that, funnily enough, though, that wasn't the way it was meant to go. So the whole procedure was meant to be 7 to 9 days in lower hut, right?
Yeah.
And they do the procedure, which is something like a 9-hour operation or something ridiculous.
My God.
They put you into an induced coma and intensive care overnight to just to make sure everything's all right. And then you pop up to the plastics unit, and then 9 days later, hi there, you bugger off. But that's not what happened.
It never goes to plan, eh?
And that again is probably because of my because of the kidney transplant way back then. So I ended up, essentially I was in hospital for 3.5 weeks.
Wow.
And I was in an induced coma for 11 days, which is a little bit longer than the advertisement. And so the first surgery, what they did was, they cut out, I guess, a good chunk of my left hand cheek, and folded it into the cavity of where they lopped out, half my tongue essentially.
Yeah.
And so the blood was flowing in but not out, and so it didn't take. And then in between times, I had a collapsed lung and I got pneumonia, and so then goodness. It was got a little bit dicey apparently. I don't know. I was in another world.
Yeah.
So then they made the decision. So they were going to wake me up apparently when I had, because they'd gone in and cut it out again.
Yeah.
Which was another 4-hour operation. And so they were going to wake me up, and those nearest to me said, don't do that. And so they didn't. And then they operated again once I'd stabilised, and that's when they cut, from wrist to elbow of my left arm, and put that in as the substitute, I guess.
Wow.
As we know, complete with the hair.
That's right. Yeah, you said you have to shave your tongue sometimes or something.
I just have to, I pluck it every now and then.
Does that hurt?
A little bit.
Yeah,
I don't do it all that often. Honestly, though, it was, so it was that almost broke me. So it wasn't the 3.5 weeks in hospital and the almost popping my clogs or anything. Yeah. It was the fact that sitting in Turangi with my now wife, and she's like, "Oh my God, this was not long." I think I just finished radiotherapy.
Yeah.
5.5 weeks of that, and we're sitting there, and she's like, "Oh my God, you do have hair on your tongue." I'm like, fuck off, I do not. And I do.
Wow.
And it was
the small things that are like sort of, they hit you the hardest sometimes, don't they?
Well, I think that's my kryptonite, mate. So you can whip a kidney out, or whip a thyroid out, which I've done as well, or whip half my tongue out, and I'll be okay with that. I can handle that sort of stuff. But it's the little stuff that is absolutely my kryptonite.
Yeah. No, I understand that you've definitely been through a lot, and then the fact that you've managed to be so positive throughout it. Like, I think when did we meet? It must have been that Danivert gig that we did
Yeah, it
up
was.
in and did we know each other before that at all?
No.
Ah, and I don't know. We sort of became quite chummy quite quickly, didn't we? Like, I don't know. I
Yeah.
just liked hanging out with you and Chris as well. The Dr. Chris. Is he still
Yeah.
gigging?
Yeah, he is. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've written a song about him actually because my next medical test will probably be a prostate, but I can't get him over the line.
Has he
doesn't
just
want to
been
do it.
counting down the days to when you need to get yours? He's got a timer on his iPhone.
Yeah.
Because you two performed together as the Dueling Mangoes, right?
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
great name for a duo. You have a third member as well, right?
Yeah. So what happens is when we first did our first show, we got Heather on board just to open for us.
Yeah.
But now we're trying to integrate the whole lot of us into the show,
Yeah.
and we probably could do much better if we weren't so busy with life and
Yes, that's the tough thing, isn't it?
put some effort in. But it is what it is, right?
I think Heather got in touch with me on TikTok. Is her tag something like H Dizzy?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yes, she DM'd me about something, I think maybe doing the podcast. And then, yeah, she mentioned that she was in I Tell Jokes with Ben, Chris, and Richard. And I was like, oh, that's you, right? Okay, I know who you are. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's it's a great name. And you did it in Ben's Fringe show, the tiny, what did he call that festival? The smallest festival in the world or something along those lines?
Yeah, something like that. So we've done Foxton, I think,
Yep.
and then he did one up in Turananoia, Kiwi, up in Gizzy. And
Yep.
so, excuse me, we've done it up there. And we've done Palmy Fest with the Comedy Hub a couple of times as well.
That's great, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know one of your favorite lines that you had of mine? Well, one of my favorite lines of yours is, I think I heard it first at the Danivert gig, is you talked about your diagnosis and stuff, and then you were just like, and if you don't laugh tonight, cancer wins. And like the crowd like got on board with it there. And I just loved that you could say that and like really mean it to the audience.
Well, it's kind of guilt tripping them, isn't
It
it?
is. And
Yeah.
by hook or by crook.
Funny, because one of my favourite jokes that I do is one that you gave me a line for.
Oh, the one about
and
the birds, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's about the ducks. Yeah.
Tell me the joke again.
Yeah, so I tried to help. In Palmerston North, what we're known for is a couple of things: wind and having an overabundance of ducks. So I went to our council and said, "Look, I've got a solution for you. Let's change our tagline to Papa Oya, we give a duck."
Yeah.
Not trying to be clever with words. It's literally you come and visit our city, we give you a duck when you leave.
Yeah.
They thought shooting them was a much better option. I hope we never get overrun with orphans.
That's right. Oh my
man.
goodness. That is a great joke.
I often put it sort of down the order a little bit just so that I've
You definitely need to work up to that one.
built a bridge. But no, sometimes, like particularly when I'm in other towns, I'll chuck it in like second or third in just to see where the audience are.
See if they're a cool crowd. That's so funny though. They just decided to shoot them all.
Yeah. Legit, they do a count of the geese and the ducks.
That's so funny. I'd forgotten about that joke, but yeah, as soon as you started saying ducks, I was like, yes, that's right. We did talk about this, didn't we?
Yeah.
That gig that we did in Danivert, I don't remember the name of the venue anymore, but thankfully we got that on footage, and that's going to be the hardest I've killed in the 10 years I've been doing stand-up. That was one of the best reactions I got. So very grateful to have that one on film.
They were a good crowd though. They came to play. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So where do we get to? So you had your transplant, and then I guess the arm thing is interesting. Did you know that they could do that when you agreed to go under, or was that like a sort of Hail Mary decision of theirs?
No, I didn't know, and I had no choice because I was clearly not a particularly well human, right? And there's a lot of irony in the leader. Like I remember talking to the surgeon I saw after the diagnosis, who wasn't the surgeon in the end, but I went in up here in Papaoa and in Palmy, and I said, look, I used to be in radio. How badly will my speech be affected? Because even though I wasn't in radio at this point, I was still, I was emceeing all around the place, so stretching that performance itch, as you know. And he said, get another job.
Oh, jeez.
And I hated him for a long time, and I used that as motivation, I guess, to drive me. But I had no idea, mate, just how badly my speech would be affected. And even now, so if you go and YouTube Richard Dryden, and you listen to me when I was on the radio, and you listen to me now, there's a massive difference in how I sound. Like sound, I sound a bit lispy, I guess, these days, a bit muddy, whereas I was crystal clear.
Right. I'll see if I can find some audio to maybe splice into the episode somewhere, and they can hear it.
My cup of teacup, there you go. Are you having fun, by the way, cameraman? Yeah, good. So we walk out, and this is the corridor. This is exciting. Check this out. Wall planner. Very, nice.
The fact that you've managed to keep doing it is, I'm sure there was, like you say, there was a bit of spite is a good fuel, right, to keep you going.
Yep.
And look,
but we have a choice, mate, and you know that I did the TedX talk last year, right? And that was the crux of my TedX talk, is that we actually have a choice as to how we roll through life. So absolutely, so when someone when life throws curveballs, do you curl up in the corner or do you swing? And I've always, even if you swing and miss, you're still swinging. So I've always, I will always swing. I will always make the choice to look at the world differently and to be as positive as I can. That doesn't mean that I'm not an arsehole, because I'm grateful to be on this planet, really. But I'm a grumpy man.
But I haven't seen that side of you yet, so I'll hope I never. I think that's a great expression when life's thrown you curveballs, you can swing or you can curl up, because we've had I haven't talked about this on the podcast yet, but we've had a bereavement in the comedy community here in Christchurch. Mike Taylor, who's one of the co-owners of the comedy club here, sadly passed away on Matariki this year, and they had sort of just been dealing with an issue with their license that didn't get renewed correctly. And so, I remember sort of thinking about it and thinking, geez, life is just curveballs after curveballs. And I think a lot of us, and myself included, sort of think once we get everything kind of straightened out, then it'll be smooth sailing from here. But actually, I think life is just, you've got to try to make the best of what you can in between the curveballs being thrown at you. Obviously, you can swing, like you say, but I think for a long time I thought man, it would be great to have no curveballs, but I don't think that's realistic. I think it's just going to keep happening, and the move is to learn how to deal with them and sort of keep moving forward through them. And I would say you have a lot of experience in that realm there.
Look, I think you have to front foot life, right? Because otherwise, what is it that there's a song, that life is what happens. John Lennon, life is what happens while you're busy making other plans, and it's so right.
Oh my God,
so right.
That is so accurate. Yeah, it's what is that another expression? The best laid plans of mice and men. It's it doesn't matter how well your plans are laid, but it's probably not going to go how you think it is, and it's
Yeah. Just enjoy, look for the little wins, I guess.
Yes, yeah, exactly. I was going to ask another thing about the stand-up. Have you got any sort of, I know Tito's on a little bit of a hiatus with running DIY stuff. I think you might do Tony's Pizza or something, but have you got any kind of plans for your own sort of stand-up in the next kind of year or so?
I probably should have. Trying to look. I've been venturing down to Wellington more
Nice.
over the last year and a half, 2 years. So I do. I've done with Jerome. I've done Raw Meat Monday a few times. Letty and Tegan put on a great gig at Fringe Bar on Wednesday, and so I do that. And then Emma, who runs Flash of Genius, does some good gigs down there. So I've done that.
Awesome.
Mark and Kapiti does the Bond store and some other gigs that way. So I've been going down that way a lot more. And
Great,
I've actually, funnily enough, got my first MC gig down in Wellington this week on Wednesday. I'm popping down to MC for Bob, who has Cartel Comedy. And
yep. Oh, Bob's back, is he?
He is, yep.
Right on. They used to run quite a few gigs, didn't they?
Yeah. And so, so I'm emceeing at the Welsh Dragon on Wednesday, and we're in the throes, Tito and I. So my hometown, I was up there in Waverley. It's like it's about the size of a 50-cent coin. It's quite small, and so we are in discussions about dropping a gig because I was up there watching rugby about 3 weeks ago. So we're in the throes of putting a gig together there.
Nice.
And I'm working with a comedian who was particularly big in the late 90s, early 2000s, did a lot of stuff with the Love Groves and Ewan Gilmore's of the world at that time, and she wants to remain nameless. But currently I'm working on an hour-long set, which will, a festival show, I guess, which will, if I ever pull my finger out of my ass, would be a mix of the TED Talk and my comedy. So it'll be, hopefully, people will laugh and then they go away thinking, well, shit, life is what we make of it. So that's kind of the plan.
Yeah. No, that's great. I think your quote about swinging into the curveballs is going to stick with me for a long time. I think as well, I've mentioned to you in the past about how Christchurch was a little bit sort of fraction tumultuous, but things are a lot more uniform there at the moment. So I've mentioned you to Pip before, and I know Pip's keen to have you come down and do some stuff here. So another destination for the road thing. We could probably even look at doing something in Dunedin as well. I know Gerard Doherty would probably be more than happy to set you up at like Moons or Inch Bar or something. So yeah, there's definitely a little mini South Island tour we could do for you once you get the show kind of, together.
Yeah, and that's it. Look, balancing, and it's probably, I'm probably a little bit, not even probably. I'm lazy. I've got work, I've got kids.
Yeah. Well, you've got a very full life outside of comedy, which I don't have as full a life outside of comedy.
Yeah, but this is where I have the massive respect for you, though, because you've actually put your balls on the line and gone, right, this is what I'm going to do. And there's very few people that do that in Aotearoa, and that's true. That's huge.
Yeah, it's very funny though, because like I think people have an image that it's a little more glamorous than it is. Like, I mentioned I've been sick for about 3 weeks now, and that has meant I've just had to power through some that are like, if your face is on the poster, your option is either cancel it and displace, fucking 30 to 40 people, or just kind of deal with it and get it done. And I think most people will make the decision to just get it done. So it's been a rough going on 3 weeks now, but I mean, another quote that I always say to myself is, this is the life you chose. So it's like, that's kind of the mantra that gets me, when I'm unpacking music gear and it's pissing down with rain and I've got to run from my little car to the venue and I'm pushing stuff on a cart. It's like, well, this is the life we chose, man. So here we are. We've got about 5 minutes left in the Zoom. Let's get some plugs in. So what are your social media pages, Rich?
So just search Richard Dryden comedian. That should get you most of the stuff. I'm on Instagram and Facebook, and then there's a YouTube channel which I think is still Richard Dryden comedian. I mean, I'm ugly looking, so you'll see me.
don't know if I've ever heard a comedian say that like so blatantly before. Like,
Oh dear, yeah.
you had a
Yeah, in the past, you could close your eyes and I sounded okay too, but that's now fucked as well.
oh no, that's a tough racket.
Yeah.
I was going to say you had a T-shirt for a while you referred to yourself as like Bad Face or something on it. Was that what the T-shirt
correct.
was?
Yeah, bad face. Yep, and that's actually the logo on the YouTube channel.
I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then of course
I think the Insta and Facebook is just me, self-flagellation. It's the TED Talk
Yeah.
thing. So there you go. Yeah,
I'll see if I can find a link to your TED. It'll be a video of the TED Talk online, surely.
yeah. There is. It's all over my socials.
Where did you do that?
I did that up here in Papaoa, and I did it September last year, so almost a year ago. Yeah.
Awesome. I feel like I have watched it, but I might need to go back and see it again because I feel like I remember you asked me something about it when you were leading up to it. Maybe you asked me for feedback on a joke or something. I can't really remember, but I remember you did mention it when you were leading up to it. So I'm pretty sure I would have watched it. How long of a talk did you give?
I think it was 10 minutes.
10 minutes? Oh, that's all right.
Just over 10 minutes. Yeah. So,
have you ever done Toastmasters or anything like that?
Nah, and my mum did that when she was younger, and I probably should look into that because that would be another way to, build capacity around writing and stuff as well.
Yeah, no, I enjoy Toastmasters. Alrighty, well, let's wrap that up. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast, man. And also, I wanted just one quick thing. You took me to probably the greatest sushi place we've ever been to in Palmerston North. What was that place called?
That would have been King Street Sushi.
King Street Sushi. So if you're in Palmerston North,
I don't think it's called King Street Sushi, but
it's on King Street.
Yeah, it's opposite Utah. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it was. It's almost like cabinet food sushi. You just pick what you want, right? And man, was it just you and me that went there, or did I have someone else with me? Maybe Ben was with us as well.
I think it was the three of us, eh?
Yeah, and we found you at work, and then went to go get this sushi, and it was. I seem to remember there was a table of like teenage girls who were going a bit wild or something when we were in there, but like the sushi was top notch. Definitely check that out if you're in Palmerston North, folks.
Sure, thank you, mate.
Alrighty. With that, thanks for joining me, Rich.
Take a bite.
Thank you for listening to Ruddle Me This. Don't forget to hit subscribe and leave me a review on your favorite podcast platform. You can find me on social media at Taylor Ruddle Comedy on all the major platforms. You can also join patreon.com/Taylor Ruddle Comedy for free, which gets you access to all sorts of extras and behind the scenes content, as well as allows you to communicate directly with me and let me know what you think of the show. Tune in again next Monday for another episode of Ruddle Me This, and until then, ruddle her out.
This has been a Tape Deck Media production. Thank you for listening.
Hey Ruddlers, I joined a group of podcasters that we are calling the Trailer Alliance, a group of podcasters that share each other's trailers at the end of the episodes and generally support each other. So at the end of each episode for the next few weeks, I'm going to be playing a trailer of one of the members of the Trailer Alliance. And here's one of them now. I hope you like it.
Hello, Like Mother, Like Murder listeners. I am Rachel.
And I'm Heather.
We are the hosts of Like Mother, Like Murder.
We bring you the good, the badass, and the crime.
Each week, we bring you stories from missing and murdered
to survivors and women who empower you.
And of course, some mom talk sprinkled in.
Check us out wherever you get your podcasts at Like Mother, Like Murder.
And give us a follow on social media so that we can say hi.
Okay, love you, bye.
Okay, love you, bye.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/ARTS. Just go to Indeed.com/ARTS right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.